Hello, I'm Bakhtiar Sanova and you are watching A News. Let's see the top stories. Zelensky says that work on security guarantees for Ukraine needs to be sped up. Trump has warned of potential consequences if Putin and Zelensky fail to hold direct talks. And Israel is launching a nationwide day of disruption, blocking highways and staging rallies. President Volodymyr Zelensky says work with allies on security guarantees for Ukraine must be accelerated. He made a call in a social media post after meeting in Kiev with Britain's defense chief Tony Radakin, stressing the need for maximum effort, clarity and transparency. Zelensky also highlighted the need for more supplies to the Donetsk and Zaporizhia fronts and said further talks with European and US partners are planned this week.
Here, Prime Minister, for such
US President Donald Trump has warned of potential consequences if Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fail to hold direct talks. Speaking alongside South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, Trump said the two leaders should meet, adding he will wait a week or two before considering further steps. He admitted resolving the Ukraine conflict has proven harder than expected, citing what he called the tremendous dislike between Putin and Zelensky. Now we'll examine what this could mean for the trajectory of the war, U.S. foreign policy and the broader international response. To help us unpack the implications, we're joined by John Kavalik, senior editor at Issue Inside. Mr. Kavalik, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mr. Kavalik, President Trump has warned of potential consequences if Putin and Zelensky don't engage in direct talks. In your view, what kind of leverage is Washington trying to exert here?
It's the leverage of optics, because President Putin recognizes, as does President Zelensky, that for different reasons, President Trump is unlikely to, quote, get tough, unquote, with Russia, nor get tough, quote unquote, with Ukraine. He's attempting to be a intermediary. He's attempting to be one that is bringing both sides together, where each side truly wants him as an ally. So President Zelensky wants President Trump on his side. President Putin wants President Trump on his side. President Trump is in the middle of not wanting to make an enemy of either one of them, but also not wanting to be blamed if anything bad happens. So therefore, it leaves him with very little latitude. And what he's likely going to continue to do is another week, another 2 weeks, and do little things around the edges, but he's not necessarily going to give anyone a knockout blow that they're then going to wake up from and say, okay, no more, we'll make a deal.
In your opinion, if Washington were to scale back its support, what would this mean for Ukraine's position both militarily and diplomatically?
Well, we're seeing that play out now. President Zelensky is very much taking a page from Donald Trump, the television star of the television show The Apprentice, where he would audition people and then ceremoniously or unceremoniously fire them at the end of a particular episode. President Zelensky, on the one hand, we've seen in the last, yesterday and today, where he's saying, I'm going to be reaching out to Turkey, I'm going to be reaching out to Austria, Switzerland, Hungary, United Arab Emirates, those countries that have been mentioned as the site of the next meeting, but in this case, the Zelensky-Putin meeting or the Zelensky-Putin-Trump meeting. And he's saying, I'm reaching out with them. So basically what he's trying to do is get them to audition. You know, why should I give you this incredible event? Very Trumpian, because that's how President Trump looks at meetings. You know, what are you going to give me to give you this incredible media opportunity, billions of dollars in publicity, whoever's going to host the next meeting, bilateral or trilateral? But then simultaneously, he's talking about we need security guarantees, we need them fleshed out, we need them concise, and we need them now. Now he's doing what he did 2 years ago, beginning in Vilnius, Lithuania at the NATO summit. He pushes too hard for what he knows he's not going to get. And then what he does get isn't what he wants. It's a statement from the various countries saying, no, it's not going to happen. And the security guarantees we already know they're not going to be what Ukraine wants. And they're not going to be enough that Russia is going to be really upset about it. Because when Prime Minister Maloney is talking about NATO-like and or NATO-light, in terms of Article 5, the all for one, one for all. Well, Article 5, as it's written, doesn't require a member to do anything if anyone is attacked. And now what they're saying for Ukraine is, we're going to give you something that's like that. Well, if the Article 5 doesn't require you to do anything, then what would this one do? And so when the UK defense folks are there, when the US is meeting, when NATO, everyone is coming to the conclusion that no one's going to do anything that's going to jeopardize their political position in terms of helping Ukraine.
John Kavlik, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. We truly appreciate your time and perspective. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The war in Eastern Europe continues to claim lives. Russian attacks against Ukraine killed one civilian and injured 15 others over the past day. One person was killed in Donetsk Oblast, Governor Vadim Flashkin said. Ukraine's emergency services reported that 6 people were injured in overnight Russian attacks on a residential area in the Sumy region. The attacks damaged several residential buildings, and emergency crews brought large fires that broke out in 4 separate locations under control. In Kherson Oblast, Russian forces targeted 32 settlements, including the regional center of Kherson. 4 people were injured, Governor Alexander Prokudin reported. Ukrainian forces downed 47 out of the 59 drones, including Shahed-type attack drones and decoys launched by Russia overnight, the Air Force reported. Canada and Belgium stepped up for Ukraine. Canada inked a critical minerals pact with Germany and shortlisted a submarine supplier. Belgium urged prudence over frozen Russian assets, warning against rushing to seize them. A clear message is Ukraine matters, and Europe is stepping in.
Hello and welcome to This Day in Europe, and a busy one in Berlin. The prime ministers of Canada and Belgium make high-profile visits, underscoring deepening transatlantic support for Ukraine while seeking to strengthen trade relations amid rising geopolitical tensions. Canada's Mark Carney and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced a new declaration of cooperation on critical minerals. It includes a rare earth magnet supply chain between Canada's Troilus Gold and Germany's Arubis. That's a global metals production and recycling company. Critical minerals like lithium, copper, and nickel are vital for Canada and Germany's defense systems, clean energy technology, and advanced manufacturing. This development is intended to reduce European dependence on Chinese and Russian sources. Carney revealed that Canada is mobilizing nearly $500 billion in investments toward energy, port, and digital infrastructure to support these initiatives. He also said a German-Norwegian team is shortlisted in Canada's submarine procurement process. Carney is very keen to diversify trading relationships amid awkward relations with the U.S. On Friday, Canada dropped the 25% tariff imposed on many U.S. goods since March, but steel and aluminum duties remain. His visit follows an unannounced trip to Kyiv for Ukraine's Independence Day, during which he backed Ukraine's call for robust security guarantees, signed a drone co-production agreement, and confirmed over $1 billion Canadian in military aid. While Carney said he, quote, did not exclude the possibility of sending soldiers, the topic is very politically sensitive in Germany and other European countries, such as Poland. Merz has kept the option open for Germany to join peacekeeping efforts post-conflict, but the nation's foreign minister, Johann Vadeful, has warned that such a move could, quote, overwhelm his country. However, this week in Kyiv, Germany did promise to participate in providing security guarantees for Ukraine while emphasizing the necessity of a ceasefire. It called for Ukraine's full role in negotiations and a modernized military to deter further Russian aggression. The Belgian Prime Minister is also in Berlin today. Since assuming office in February, Bart de Wever has reaffirmed Belgian support for Ukraine, pledged to boost defense spending to meet NATO targets, and aligned his country firmly with Western institutions, even as his domestic priorities include welfare reform and stricter migration policies. The Berlin and Kyiv visits may signal more than symbolic solidarity and reflect a strategic tightening of alliances as Ukraine presses for long-term security guarantees and modern battlefield capabilities. As debates over troop commitments and procurement deepen, the message from Western leaders is increasingly clear. Ukraine's defense is central to Europe's stability. For A News, I'm Anita Sharma in the Netherlands.
Israel has carried out airstrikes on Gaza's Nasser hospital, killing at least 20 people, among them 5 journalists. The journalists killed included freelancers and reporters working with Reuters, Al Jazeera, and the Associated Press. Israel's military says it has launched an inquiry, while press freedom groups accuse it of targeting the media. Please note that the following report contains distressing images.
Smoke and chaos at Gaza's Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis. An Israeli strike hit the medical complex on Monday. Reuters cameraman Hussam al-Masri was killed in the first strike. Moments later, a second blast struck the site. As rescue workers and journalists rushed to help. In total, Palestinian health officials say 20 people were killed, including 5 journalists. Among them, Al Jazeera's Mohammed Salama, freelancers Mariam Abu Daga, Ahmed Abu Aziz, and Moaz Abu Taha. His brother, inconsolable as he sat by his body.
Take a picture of me, guys. I do not have a single photo with him. We worked together so much, yet I never took even one picture with him.
Press freedom group Reporters Without Borders condemned the attack.
When and where is it going to end? Are we going to let the Israel Defense Forces continue the repeated killing of journalists? There is international law. There are guarantees that should be granted to journalists covering conflicts. And none of that seems to be applying. So we need to be very clear about the fact that none of the journalists that are allegedly terrorists are terrorists. They are professional journalists working for legacy professional media, like, for example, Reuters or, for example, AP.
The Israeli military confirmed a strike in the area, but said it does not target civilians and has opened an inquiry.
IDF troops carried out a strike in the area of Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. We are aware of reports that harm was caused to civilians, including journalists. The Chief of the General Staff has instructed that an inquiry be conducted immediately to understand the circumstances of what happened and how it happened.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the strike a tragic mishap, but insisted the war is against Hamas. And the United Nations condemned the killings.
The Secretary General recalls that civilians, including medical personnel and journalists, must be respected and protected at all times. He calls for a prompt, impartial investigation into these killings. He reiterates that medical personnel and journalists must be able to perform their essential duties without interference, without intimidation, and without harm.
The strike has drawn international attention, with world leaders reacting to the deadly attack. US President Donald Trump on Monday said he wasn't aware of the incident.
Overnight today. I didn't know that. Any reaction to this? Are you going to talk to the Prime Minister? I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole.
And Turkey's President Erdogan called the bombing of the hospital a villainous attack, accusing Israel of being brutal and inhumane. Funeral processions were held for the journalists killed. their press vests draped over their bodies. Since the war began in October 2023, 189 Palestinian journalists have been killed by Israeli fire, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. The strike on Nasser Hospital adds to the mounting international pressure on Israel and has fueled fresh outrage over its conduct in Gaza.
Israelis have launched a nationwide day of disruption on Tuesday, blocking highways and staging rallies. Families of hostages are demanding a ceasefire deal with Hamas to secure their release.
Families of Israeli hostages held in Gaza led nationwide protests on Tuesday, blocking highways and staging demonstrations, demanding a ceasefire deal with Hamas that would secure the release of the remaining captives. Protesters lit fires and blocked traffic at several key junctions, including Yakum, about 30 kilometers north of Tel Aviv, where thick black smoke rose over the coastal highway. Demonstrators waved Israeli flags and yellow banners symbolizing solidarity with the hostages and displayed photos of those still in captivity. The coordinated day of disruption saw major roads across Israel brought to a standstill, including sections of the Tel Aviv-Jerusalem road and the coastal highway, according to local media. Protesters also unfurled flags outside the US Embassy in Tel Aviv. Organisers planned nationwide marches, including a mothers and strollers protest at Tel Aviv's Hostages Square. Tuesday night will see a large march from Savidor Station, according to local media. Hostage families are urging the public to join the evening rally to pressure the government.
For 690 days, the government has been waging a war without a clear objective. How will the hostages, the living and the fallen, be returned? Who will govern Gaza the day after? How do we rebuild our country? Today, it is clear that Netanyahu fears one thing: public pressure.
We call today for the people listening to us. Come out, join us, be with us today, 8 o'clock at the Hostage Square. And remind the Prime Minister that we the people, we are the ones that decide what happens, and you need to listen to us.
There are 50 hostages remaining in Gaza, with 20 confirmed to be alive, according to Israeli officials. The demonstrations come as the United States and Israel say they're continuing to pressure Hamas to release the captives amid the ongoing conflict.
Washington is once again hosting high-level economic discussions between the United States and China. A senior Chinese delegation is in the capital this week, aiming to ease trade tensions and build on earlier rounds of negotiations. The talks come as both sides extend a fragile tariff truce through November, giving industries brief relief.
A senior Chinese trade delegation led by Li Changgang is traveling to Washington this week to reopen the U.S.-China trade talks, marking the highest-level Chinese economic visit to the U.S. since 2023. The visit follows previous rounds of negotiations held in Geneva, London, and most recently Stockholm, where both sides sought to extend the current pause on tariffs and build momentum for deeper engagement. The visit also comes amid a fresh 90-day pause on tariffs, which maintains U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods at 30% and Chinese tariffs on U.S. goods at 10%. This tariff truce, which is set to last through November 10th, follows a series of escalations earlier this year under a sweeping retaliatory measures, which were rolled back after the Geneva talks in May. This extension provides temporary relief to U.S. retail and toys, as well as Chinese electronics, machinery, and critical mineral markets such as rare earths. Manu Mokhtar, A-News, Beijing.
Now, Beijing hosted the 2025 Shanghai Cooperation Organization Forum on People-to-People Exchange ahead of the Tianjin Summit, highlighting cultural, media, and youth collaborations. Key initiatives launched include the SCO Media Cooperation Mechanism, the Silkway Star Music Contest, and a global media campaign promoting mutual understanding among SCO countries.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Forum on People-to-People Exchange, co-hosted by China Media Group and the SCO Secretariat, was held in Beijing on Monday ahead of the SCO Summit 2025. Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov and Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif sent congratulatory messages, and over 100 guests from political, cultural, and media circles attended. CMG and the SCO Secretariat signed cooperation documents and agreed on long-term collaboration, including initiatives in AI. The forum saw the launch of the SCO Media Cooperation Mechanism and its supporting initiative to deepen media cooperation and enhance mutual understanding. The 2025 Silkway Star International Music Contest, bringing together singers from Central Asia, the Caucasus, and China, was unveiled along with CGTN's China Up Close, A Journey of Harmony media campaign, which involved journalists from 42 countries exploring Chinese modernization. Youth-focused exchange programs and a short video initiative were also launched, encouraging young people to share stories of cross-border friendship and collaboration.
Iran reaffirmed support for the 3+3 format in the South Caucasus, with spokesman Ismail Baghei noting it unites regional states with Russia, Turkey and Iran. He stressed that the format helps resolve disputes, especially between Armenia and Azerbaijan, while limiting interference from outside powers. Baghei added that regional countries agree the platform should remain active and its effectiveness strengthened. Earlier, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian told Russia's Vladimir Putin that the 3+3 remains the most effective way to address challenges in the South Caucasus. A new survey by the Arar Foundation shows rising dissatisfaction with Armenia's leadership. 58% of respondents disapprove of the National Assembly, while only 28% are satisfied with the government. On foreign policy, 73% of respondents do not believe long-term peace with Azerbaijan can be achieved through negotiations, and 74% doubt a peace document would bring stability. The survey conducted before the Washington meeting also shows older and financially secure respondents are more optimistic about peace. The poll also revealed strong views on Russia. 58% oppose the withdrawal of the Russian military base, while 38% support it. Earlier, A News also conducted a vox pop in Yerevan, which yielded mixed results, depending on age, social status and education level of respondents. In Georgia, opposition parties are stepping up pressure on the government with a major rally planned for September 13th in Tbilisi. The announcement comes just days before an important European Union deadline on visa-free travel, which critics say the government has already failed to meet. All the heart of the opposition's message is unity and the demand to keep Georgia firmly on its European path.
8 Georgian opposition parties have announced a joint rally in Tbilisi on September 13. The march will begin at Tbilisi State University and move toward Parliament. Leaders said that demonstration is aimed at uniting pro-European forces and sending a clear message that the government does not represent the will of the Georgian people. The timing of the announcement is significant. August 31st marks the European Union's deadline for the Georgian government to take steps to safeguard visa-free travel to Europe. According to opposition leaders, the government has failed to act, further distancing the country from the European path. Elena Khoshtaria of the Coalition for Change and Tamer Chergoleshvili of the Federalists both stressed that the ruling party has ignored European demands and instead moved closer to Russia. The government has not yet responded directly to the rally announcement. However, the ruling party has consistently dismissed opposition criticism, framing it as an attempt to destabilize the country. Still, the September 13 march has the potential to draw attention both domestically and internationally. For Georgia, where the debate over European integration is deeply tied to its future direction, the rally could become a test of whether the opposition can truly channel public frustration into a unified political force. It's Nini Nikolaishvili reporting from Tbilisi, A News.
Jordan's King Abdullah II has arrived in Uzbekistan on a state visit at the invitation of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The two leaders toured Samarkand, exploring its ancient monuments and cultural treasures. The visit began at the Shaki Zinda complex, where the king paid tribute at the mausoleum of Gusam ibn Abbas, a companion of the Prophet Muhammad. The delegation also visited the mausoleum of Amir Timur, learning about his statecraft and global legacy. The tour concluded at Samarkand's iconic Registan Square, where the leaders viewed its restored madrasas, a symbol of the city's centuries-old role as a center of learning. King Abdullah II Ibn al-Hussein's official visit to Kazakhstan will follow on August 26 to 27 at the invitation of President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. Almaty has been facing one of its most serious environmental challenges for years: air pollution. The city ranks among the world's most polluted, seriously affecting the health of millions of residents. Our correspondent Fariza Kalimursina reports from Almaty with more details.
Almaty has been struggling with consistently high air pollution levels for the past decade. Monitoring shows that from 2015 to 2024, 9 out of 10 years recorded the city's air quality as heavily polluted, with only 2017 classified as moderately elevated. Earlier this year, the Swiss air quality company IQ Air ranked Almaty as the world's most polluted major city in real time. According to the Climate Change and Green Energy Project Office for Central Asia, over 2.3 million residents are exposed daily to air containing toxic substances beyond safe limits. The city's location worsens the issue. Situated in a basin at the foot of the Ilya-Latau Mountains, natural airflow is limited. Mountain and valley winds trap pollutants, especially in the northern areas. Also, uncontrolled large-scale construction over the last 20 years has only compounded the problem, with thick smoke blanketing the city for more than 6 months each year. Experts identify the main pollution sources as vehicle emissions, coal and wood heating in private homes on the outskirts, and emissions from 3 major thermal power plants. Heating with stoves adds particulate matter and toxic gases. Environmental specialists agree that addressing this issue requires a comprehensive strategy. Key measures include upgrading transport infrastructure, transitioning to cleaner fuels, tightening emission controls on power plants, and expanding gas supply to suburban neighborhoods. Also, regular monitoring and timely public updates about air quality are crucial to minimize health risks. Air pollution in Almaty is not only an environmental challenge, but also a social one affecting millions of lives. And new technologies and stricter environmental regulations are expected to be introduced this year to help improve the situation. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimursina, A News.
Turkey faces a severe drought that is impacting water resources, with shrinking reservoirs and shortages affecting daily life, agriculture and industry. Officials are calling for urgent, sustainable water management and emergency actions. Our correspondent Ali Aziz reports.
Turkey is dealing with an ongoing nationwide drought. New analysis from the European Space Agency's Sentinel-2 satellites show soil moisture has dropped sharply nationwide this year. The findings confirm that rivers, reservoirs, and farmlands are drying fast. The Turkish State Meteorological Service provides interactive drought maps that show how much rainfall has occurred across Turkey compared to long-term norms. These maps highlight short and long-term drought trends by region, helping with water and agricultural planning. Experts stress that climate change is the driving force, and adaptation can't wait. Professor Şenol Hakan Kurtoğlu of Zonguldak Bülent Ecevit University points to both agricultural and urban solutions, shifting to less water-demanding crops, planting drought-resistant species, installing green roofs, and introducing rainwater collection systems to capture rainfall. On the ground, reservoirs are sinking fast. Nationwide active storage has fallen to 42%, forcing major cities onto alert. In Istanbul, dam levels are 11% lower than last year, leading to less than 120 days of drinking water. Officials are already considering rotating cuts and restrictions. Turkey's capital Ankara is even more severe. Reservoirs are 19% full, but with only 8.5% usable, experts warn Ankara may face a crisis before Istanbul. In Izmir, the Tahtali Dam has dropped under 7%. Supply cuts have tightened from every 5 days to every 3, while some neighborhoods are already without regular water. And in Bursa, the Nilüfer Dam has completely dried up, while Doğancı Dam holds just over a month's supply. Officials stress that demand management, fixing leaks, lowering pressure at night, and urging the public to save water can buy time, but without urgent adaptation, Turkey may face its harshest urban water crisis in decades. For A News, this is Aliya Aziz, Istanbul, Turkey.
And human rights groups are urging the German government to act quickly on a possible promise it made to thousands of Afghan refugees, many of whom are now stranded in Pakistan and facing the threat of deportation. Our correspondent Tamim Bahis has more from Kabul.
Human rights and humanitarian international organizations have signed a joint letter to Berlin. They say Germany has not moved fast enough to relocate Afghans it pledged to protect. People who work with international organizations, journalists and activists who fled Afghanistan after the Taliban regained control in August 2021. After the fall of Kabul, many Afghans crossed into Pakistan, waiting for safe passage to Western countries. Germany is one of the nations that promised them asylum. But according to international media reports, hundreds are still waiting. Now, Pakistan's government has begun deporting undocumented Afghans, leaving those in limbo at risk of being sent back to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. Rights groups say Germany must accelerate the relocation process and take responsibility for people it has already committed to help. They warn that further delays could put vulnerable lives in danger. The German government has not yet given a timeline for when these relocation will be completed, but pressure is mounting to deliver on its promise. This is Tamim Bahis in Kabul for A News.
That's all we have for now. From all of us in the studio, thank you for watching and stay tuned to A News.